is the link to the schedule, and it shows you the different events that you're going to have this week and next week for the study jam. And on the schedule, the first speaker for today will be Mutsoli. So I'm going to invite Mutsoli to take us through the Google Cloud Essentials. I believe it's going to be Then after that, we're going to have Christine Peter take us through the actual lab. So welcome, Mutsoli.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute, let me share my screen.
All right. Though I can't hear you as clearly as before.
Yeah, let me share my screen, just a minute. Let me check. Yeah, she's... No. Now, I hope all of you are able to see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, now I'm beginning. So thank you once again. I've really prepared some amazing content. Today we're going to learn about cloud essentials. What we are going to cover today. Oh, first and foremost, a bit introduction about me. I'm actually a student of the GADS program that's actually ongoing. A student of the cloud track. So what we're going to learn today is actually some bit introduction to the cloud. Then we're going to talk definition to the cloud, the benefits of the cloud, some of the cloud service models that are available. And also we'll look at the GCP compute services. Then we'll look at identity and access management and how to interact with GCP. So when I was actually preparing for this session, it's actually important that anyone gets to define the cloud. And if you don't get the right definition, you actually end up confusing yourself on what the cloud is actually. But that doesn't mean actually the cloud is that complex to understand. For instance, we can take like a number of people and ask the definition of the cloud. Like for instance, you can see if we are going to ask the chief information officer of a given company or a given institution what he has been using the cloud for, he'll talk to you about the cloud has enabled him reduce the cost of outsourcing IT. When you talk to actually an IT profession, he'll talk of actually after joining the cloud, the cloud has actually made them the deployment and maintenance of the application, which has been so much faster and actually better. Well, to a student, actually, the cloud has generally been important to him simply because he gets to back up his photos, back up files, and also listen to music, stream some videos. But with all this definition, does that mean before somebody who has not been using the cloud, he's not able to back up his files, he's not able to actually stream music live? Somebody will say actually the cloud is actually supposed to make things much faster. Like for instance, a student who does not use the cloud to back up his device, to back up his files, he has to connect the phone to the laptop and then later on back up that either photo or file to an external hard drive. Well, that is actually a long process. The cloud is actually supposed to make simplify actually things, make them to be much faster, convenient, and actually cheaper. Like with the cloud, you are able to access your data from anywhere, any place, and anytime, whenever you need it. So with the definitions that we have actually seen of the different, with the definition of the clouds, we can actually go and look at actually some of the general benefits of what the cloud brings on the table for somebody or for an organization, because the cloud actually targets different people, either large scale, small scale business, and actually an individual, actually, and a user. So one of the benefits of the cloud is actually you are able to get new features. And here I'd like to talk about App Engine. For somebody who is using, for instance, a DevOps who is using App Engine to deploy new application, he is able to deploy new applications through actually continuous integration and continuous development. But with the cloud added as a flavor into what he has been doing, with the cloud, there is something called as the load balancing, where you are able to route specific now, like 10% of your new traffic, of your traffic to your new application, and 90% are left to be running in the old application. So in the instance where this new application that you have actually deployed, it has bugs, you are able to redeploy those 10% of the traffic that you routed to the new application to the old application. And this is actually a feature that is much better. And talk of speed, if we are talking of the Chief Information Officer, he'll talk of the speed of actually after they joined the cloud, the speed has actually been much better and faster. For instance, the case where it's a tax system and the period of closing the tax is almost there, they will actually need more machines to run their, in order to actually accommodate the number of traffic that many users are into their system. So with compute engine instances, you are able to deploy as many instances as possible which are going to serve very many people. So different people and different organizations get into the cloud for different reasons. Like for instance, some actually go into the cloud because of the cost benefits. Some actually go into the cloud because of the cloud has enabled them to deploy a new feature much better and much faster. So does this mean actually the cloud actually provide solutions to all our problems? No, it actually doesn't provide solution to all our problems. So we have actually looked at why the reason people join the cloud. So let's look at actually some of the characteristics that why people of cloud computing. And one of the major characteristics that you must agree with me is that one has to be connected to the cloud. At some point you will be disconnected, but the moment you get back to the cloud, you are able to synchronize your application just like the student, and they are able to back up whatever the devices they have. And then another characteristics of the cloud is it uses third-party hardware. And I'm sure most of you might have come across this popular quote that there is no cloud, it's just someone else's computer. Well, that definition, it's a bit loose, and it can be used just to describe the next door's neighbor's laptop. So when we talk of third-party hardware, we are referring to big tech companies such as Google, Amazon, name them, who have actually dedicated an entire building, sometimes even an entire location, where they've equipped these buildings with modern facilities, such we can have massive racks of hardwares, talk of networking features, multiple power backups, biometric scanners. And if you go to actually some of the Google data centers, they have actually 6-layer security, where you must be able to pass all these 6 layers of security for you to actually get to access their data centers. But someone else will say, we've actually been having data centers that are actually off premises, what is actually the difference for somebody, the difference between somebody who is actually using the cloud and somebody whose data center is actually not connected to the cloud. So this is actually, hope you're able to see my screen. This is actually a data center that is actually not connected to the cloud. You're able to see the security system, the air condition, the power system, maintenance, internet. So this is actually the composition of a data center. But for somebody whose data center is actually connected to the cloud, there's actually a layer of software that has automated everything and made everything to be much faster and better. So another characteristic of the cloud is that it's self-service and on demand. What does this mean actually? You actually don't get to configure anything, and maintenance is actually done by the cloud. Um, most cloud features, most cloud services, the likes of compute engine. Actually, with compute engine, there are some bit where the cloud actually manages for you, but some large percentage of it where you get to manage yourself. So, and then there's this actually new this other characteristic actually of resource pooling. Back to back to the data centers where they are not connected to the cloud. If I was to go and rent a data center, with some data centers, I will have to buy my server, install the operating system, then take this server to the data center. This server will actually be dedicated to me and me alone, and there won't be any other use. And this brings up the question: how many of us have actually had the opportunity to fully maximize our desktop or our laptop capacities? So with this feature is actually called co-location, whereby only a specific data center, a specific server is actually dedicated to you. With somebody who has actually been using the cloud, you get, like, if you are, for instance, you're using Google Cloud Services, you get a shared pool of resources. You get an access to the entire pool, and which has actually so many features. Like, for instance, there is redundant backup of your files. Like, for instance, if a given hard disk that contains your information is actually failing, the system is actually able to detect, and this hard disk is actually replaced with another new hard disk. So with these data centers, like for instance, the Google data centers, actually, so many people are able to access this data center at a single time. Like, it really shows how how it serves many people and utilizes resources, where I was talking about not fully utilizing our resources to the maximum. So we now look at GCP. So when we look at Google Cloud, we can actually see that it's actually part and parcel of a much larger ecosystem. Like, for instance, the ecosystem of Google actually consists of partners, third-party softwares, developers, providers, and softwares. Whereas the Google Cloud, actually, most of us have interacted with the Google Cloud, the likes of Chrome, Gmail, Google services, and so on. So GCP itself is actually a computing solution platform that actually consists of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and also software as a service. I'll be discussing that much later. So I'd like us to look at to think of GCP, it's actually like a GCP infrastructure is like actually a city with the underlying framework of actually where the underlying framework is actually we talk of the transport, the fuel, uh, the communication. If we have such a city where it has all these good quality services, then this actually means it will attract very many users. And if we are going to attract very many users, then we can definitely have various applications. And the bikes and the cars, for instance, in this diagram are going to represent uh, these applications. So here we can swiftly go to the categories of actually GCP. And you can see there are so many services that are actually provided by Google Cloud Platform. By the way, Google Cloud Platform is actually uses the state-of-art software-defined and networking distribution system and technologies to actually host services all over the world. So you are able to access these services all over, not only just wherever you are. So we'll swiftly move to we'll simply move to actually the clouds, the categories of cloud services. And as I had mentioned earlier, we have software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. With these, many of us have actually in one way or another interacted with software as a service, because when we talk of software as a service, we're referring to actually already made applications that are delivered to users. And in terms of revenue generation, actually of the three, software as a service generates much larger revenue. So some of the examples that of software as a service, you can talk of Gmail, Slack, Yahoo, and and more. Whereas if we talk about platform as a service, uh, platform as a service is actually most users or the group of users who actually use platform as a service is actually developers. They don't have to worry about the development environment. All they need to worry about is just simply their code, and Google takes care of everything. Then infrastructure as a service. Here we will talk of the likes of compute engine. It's actually meant for administrators, the database administrators, the storage administrators. So with here you get to configure compute engine. Like for instance, a virtual machine. If you get a virtual machine in GCP, you get to decide the operating system that it's going to run on, the CPU, the memory, and also configure the network of that particular machine that you have actually rented. So there are actually several ways in which you can use to actually access the Google Cloud Platform. And one of the ways is actually the Google Cloud Console. Here's an example of the Google Cloud Console. It's actually a graphical user interface where within the clicks of a button, you are able to deploy a virtual machine and it's up running. Well, if we talk of, just a minute. Then we have application programming interface. As we can see here, you can also be able to access GCP services through application programming interface, and also you can use Cloud SDK, where you can also use cloud client libraries that actually enable you to create and manage resources. So with the mobile app application, it's actually has made things much simpler, if I may say. Like for instance, you're able even to manage the bills through your phone. It's actually an application that's a Play Store you on your phone, and the in as one of the introduction to cloud, to the computing services actually. Hope you're all able to get me, and I'm not fast. Hello.
You're doing well.
Oh, okay.
We're following. We're doing well. Continue.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So let's look at the compute engine, and I like to, if we think the compute engine, we actually think of actually a physical server that you actually use, but you're using it in GCP platform, whereby you are able to, you have the freedom to actually configure the memory, the number of CPUs that you want. You also have actually the freedom to actually choose between to choose the local SSD or the standard SSD, or even actually a combination of both. You are able to configure that. And another thing with cloud computing, you are able actually, when configuring that virtual, actually have a combination of both operating system, both the Linux and the Windows machine. So next is actually, so this is actually compute engine is actually infrastructure as a service, as I had mentioned earlier. Yeah, these are some of the features you are able to configure manually. So Kubernetes in. So Kubernetes in is actually a bit complex to many, but I'll try and simplify it and make it much easier. So think of K8's Kubernetes engine actually lets you run application on cloud environment that Google actually manages for you under your own administration and control. So you actually are able to run containerized applications. So think of Kubernetes in actually as a way to orchestrate code in container. And containerization is actually a way to package your code that is actually designed to be highly portable and to use resources very efficiently. Let's let's do App Engine. So App Engine is actually a platform as a service framework, and it's fully managed by Google services, by GCP actually. And this means that actually you are able to run, actually developers are able to run their code without having to worry about the infrastructure. You just focus on your code and let Google deal with all the provisioning of resources and management. So App Engine actually is actually divided into two, which I'll talk about it much later. That's the standard and the flexible. So Cloud Function is actually the serverless environment whereby it executes your code. It executes the code in response to an event, whether that event it actually has occurred once a day or many times within a second. Cloud computing is able to actually do that. So here's a selection guide of how to actually select between resources in computing and processing options. With this chart here, as you can see, with Compute Engine, it actually supports any language simply because it's actually the administrator who gets to configure it. With Kubernetes Engine, it's actually a hybrid because with the model that is the usage model is actually both infrastructure and platform. So it actually, depending on how you're going to use Kubernetes engine, determine whether you use it as an infrastructure or as platform as a service. So yeah, with App Engine here, I was talking about it's actually categorized into two. With the standard App Engine environment, you actually get to run a particular application that runs within a single programming language from the beginning to the end. Whereas in the flexible App Engine, you can talk of a mobile application that has the front end, the back end, and some actually frameworks. So, and all these use different languages. So it really comes in much handy. And lastly, we have the serverless environment. We have talked about it. Okay. Yeah, so our next topic, we are going to talk about the identity and access management. And identity and access management, it's actually a way to manage resources in the cloud. And it's actually made possible by actually the roles and identities that are there. So a role is simply just a collection of permission, and an identity, it's actually what defines what actually identifies a given user. So if I am to be the compute engine admin, my identity won't be referred to as my name, but actually the email address that has been actually assigned to me. This email address is actually binded with my role. That is the permission in which I'm allowed to move, or the things I'm allowed to do within a particular resource. So as you can see here, the who part can be a person, a group, or even an application, and the what actually refers to the privileges and action that you're able to actually apply on what resources. So let's move to the next slide. So with the identity access management, actually, there are actually objects that are within that makes it possible for it to work. We have the organization, the folder, project, resources, roles, and members. So if we look at the hierarchy, we are able to understand how each role, how each object gets to play a role in this. So I'd like us to actually look at this Cloud IAM resource hierarchy. Just a minute. Yeah. So here we can able to see that at the top, this hierarchy is actually the organization, followed by the folder, and then the project and the resources. So I would like us to actually look at the relationship between this the relationship actually that happens. So the organization node is actually the root node in this hierarchy. So, and then the folder that actually below it is actually the child to the organization. Then the project is actually the child to the folder, and then these individual resources are actually the child to the project. So the child policies cannot actually restrict access granted at the parent level. Like for instance, if I was to have a policy enforced at Department X, whereby I was to restrict somebody at the organization level to actually access the compute engine at the compute engine, which is to access actually a compute engine, a virtual machine from the resource. It's actually not going to be possible if this person at the organization role is actually the admin. So you cannot actually override that. So, so let's look at some of the actually the roles that are actually available in the organization. We can have the organization admin. That role is actually available in only in the organization level. So the organization admin actually has the organization admin actually has full control over the entire resource. Like for instance, he's the one who determines the IAM policy that are going to be applied in that are going to be applied across board. And also, he has actually the mandate or rather the privilege to decide on critical components such as the networking and the billing, who gets to do the billing. So they are all determined at the organization level. Another role that actually available in the organization role is actually the project creator. He gets to determine who gets to create more project and who does not. And then another thing that is actually really important here to note is that the folders here actually play a very important role. Like I might say like that it's actually they serve actually as a grouping mechanism or rather an isolation boundary that people from folder X, like Department X, we can call Department X actually as the finance department and the Department Y actually as the probably the human resource department. So people at the human resource department, which is the folder in folder Y, are not able to access all the resources and any data within the department Y, which is actually accounting department. So let's let's look at the roles that actually the roles that are the types of IAM roles that are actually there. So as we can see, there are actually three. We have the primitive, the predefined, and we also have the custom role. So we look at each and how it plays their role. So the primitive role is actually these are the original roles. The moment you create any project or that are actually within the GCP console, nobody gets to configure them. They are actually there. Are actually we can call it the default. By default, they are just there. And it has actually some of its disadvantages, if I may say, because they are really broad and they actually offer a fixed grained level of access. Because if the owner, the person with the owner role is able to delete a particular project, he is able to add new members, he is able to remove members. And for instance, we can talk of somebody who is new and gets to actually delete an entire project, which is not actually convenient. So I like to think as the predefined role as actually a substitute to primitive roles, and it's actually recommended by Google. You actually use the predefined roles. So the predefined roles actually offer a more fine-grained permission on a particular services. So it actually, for instance, here we have a compute engine. They can do what it actually does not apply in the entire organization, but actually on a particular compute engine resource in this particular project or this particular product. And the permission is actually restricted within what you're able to do. And then we have the next one is actually custom. Here these are actually more examples of what predefined roles. Like for instance, somebody at project A, who is actually the project admin, the instant admin, who has actually been given the instant admin role, he is able to do this to perform these permissions only. He is not able to he's not allowed to actually delete a project. He's able to start a VM, he's able to stop and also delete actually an instance, but not actually a project. So yeah, these are actually some of the roles that are the predefined roles. Actually, like we can have a network admin. The network admin role actually, the description of him is just able to like deal with the networking and networking alone. Like for instance, is able to configure the firewall, delete the routers, and determine some more things just related to the networking. But we cannot find an instance where the network admin has actually full control over compute engine resources. No, that doesn't happen. So I think we can move to custom roles. So with the custom roles, there's something, by the way, known as the principle of actually least privilege, where a given user gets to actually is actually given the permission to actually do what he is supposed to do, and he's not given anything extra. So these custom roles actually, it's this custom actually the compute engine admin, the compute admin who actually gets to configure it. So they they are actually enabled by Google. But another disadvantage of the custom role is that they are not updated by Google simply because they are custom roles. So whenever a new feature or if they realize a bug and they update the system, they're not able to apply to this custom role.
Hi, Mutsoli. Just to cut
Yeah.
you short for a minute,
Yeah.
there was a bit of interruption when someone tried to present their screen. Would you please start presenting your screen again? Some of us are not able to see the current slides of what you're presenting.
Oh, okay, just a minute.
Okay, go on.
What slide are you not able to see?
From, give me a minute.
Okay.
Go back, go back. No.
Okay, much further.
Yeah, you can just start from there. It's okay. Let me on the other side to see.
Oh, okay. So I'll begin from here. So as I had said much earlier, this is actually the Cloud IAM resource hierarchy. At the top of this hierarchy is actually the organization, and then we have the folder, we have the project, and then followed by actually the resources. So with actually the folders are actually the children to the organization, and then the project is actually the child to the project. The project is actually the children to the folders, and then the resources actually are created by the project. So a child can only have one. A child can only have actually one parent. And then another thing I actually said about with the folders actually provide something called it's actually a security feature whereby somebody in Department X is not able to access resources at Department Y. I hope you are all able to see my screen.
So we're now okay. Go on.
Okay.
Also, I would love to remind you we have 3 minutes left. So carry on.
Okay. Then I'll rush a bit. So with the IAM roles, we talk of there are three actually roles. We talk of the predefined, the custom, and the primitive, predefined, and actually the custom roles. With the primitive roles are actually the default roles that are actually found in within GCP, and then the predefined roles actually came in step was with the primitive roles actually offer much broader. They actually allow you to do, just a minute.
Okay. In the meantime, guys, please remember to post your questions. We have sent a link in the comment section. I will send it again so that you can be able to send your questions to our facilitator. In the meantime,
Oh,
I would also love to remind you that we have quick labs coming up in a few minutes. If you had already registered as a user, I want you to log out. We'll give you access, but you'll have to open it in Incognito tab. Mutsali, are you okay? Are you okay now?
yeah. I'm okay.
Okay, go on.
So just like I had said earlier, with the predefined roles, they offer much fine-grained permission on a particular resource. Like for instance, here on the compute engine, it actually, you with the permission of the predefined role, actually you are able to you're actually able to apply those permissions you've been given within a particular compute engine instance, and like with the primitive roles where it applied across board. So these are some of the examples of the roles, the list actually of permissions that the predefined roles actually offers. So like for instance, with the project with this, like the instance admin role, you are able to apply it within the project A and not in any other project. So you are able to delete, get, list, start and stop a particular VM. So here, as I had said earlier, these are actually examples of the role titles that are actually available in predefined roles. And for instance, we can find that a network administrator is able to just delete networking devices and actually configure firewall rules, but the network admin is not actually allowed to have full control over the compute engine resources. So the custom roles are, the custom roles actually or practice something called actually the least privilege principle of least privilege. Like for instance, we can talk of an instance role, an instance operator. An instance operator is able to actually start and stop VM, a virtual machine, but he is actually not able to actually configure them. So I'm almost done. Just a minute. On cloud storage and database, I'll only touch on here. Okay. So with cloud storage, here, I'll simply take you through here on how to actually select the best storage device. Like for instance, we can some of the example of the storage services that we have that GCP actually offers. We have cloud storage, cloud SQL, cloud spanner, cloud Firestore. We have Bigtable. So one of the things that when you're finding a solution in GCP, you can use to eliminate is that with cloud storage actually offers storage for unstructured data. Unstructured data, we talk of the likes of pictures, videos, and so on. So wherever you have whenever you want to, you're thinking of storing unstructured data, then you can think of cloud storage, and then the rest are for structured. So another thing you can note is that so if you require analytics, anything to do with analytical work, where your workload requires analytical work, you can actually opt for BigQuery because its processing speed is actually much faster, and it's actually BigQuery and Cloud Bigtable. The difference between actually BigQuery and Cloud Bigtable, it's actually when you need updates or low latency, then you can actually opt for Bigtable. If you don't need you actually don't need any updates, you can go for BigQuery. And then another thing with cloud storage and cloud SQL and cloud spanner is that cloud spanner is able to scale horizontally and globally, whereas cloud SQL is not able to scale. So cloud SQL is actually not global. So whenever you're faced with a challenge choosing between the two, you just juggle between some where when you want your solution, if it's global or something can expand horizontally, and we'll be left with uh, cloud Firestore, which is actually meant for mobile apps. It's actually meant for mobile. So I think that's that. Uh, thank you once again. That was my presentation.
I feel like I should clap for you for doing such a good job.
Thank you.
Right now we'll take questions. There was a question.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if you could give the examples for platform as a service, software as a service, programs, software that actually would serve as platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service.
Oh, we had actually given those examples. Like software as a service, you can talk of the likes of Gmail, Google Maps, um, Slack. So there are so many. These are already defined. These are solutions that are already made for you. So it's just upon you, the user, to consume them. And then that's software as a service. When you talk of infrastructure as a service, we can talk of compute engine actually. Compute engine because you get to configure everything just by yourself. And another example, a good example of platform as a service, you can talk of Kubernetes engine.
Yeah. Guys, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions of Christine before we let it go. Unmute yourself.
Okay,
Ask
just
question. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mitsoli. What do you want to say?
nothing. I think I'm done.
You can also ask questions in the comment section. While you're still asking the questions, I would love to remind you that we have the Cloud Study Jam will be running for the entire week. We have our next session on Wednesday. We would love to see you here. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was told. Can you hear me now? Tell me if you're able to hear me. Am I audible? Okay. I would love to remind you guys to RSVP for our event. We have the entire Cloud Study Jam coming up the entire week. We have another session on Wednesday. We have a session on Thursday, and I think a session on Friday. We would love to see you here. Also, as you can see, the information you're getting is really nice. You get, I think right now, if I go there, I will go there and say, I'm actually an expert. From Mutsali's presentation, I have learned a lot. Now I would love to ask if Christine is ready. Christine, are you okay? Are you ready to take us through the study jam, the code labs?
Yes, I am Teresia.
Oh, okay. As she's preparing, Christine, I'll give you a brief bio of who Christine is and then give her a chance to talk to us. She's the former DSC lead, Egerton University. She's a cloud enthusiast. She also does blockchain and cryptocurrency. She's also an entrepreneur and an educator. You can follow her on Twitter at ptaxchristine. Today, she will take us through a tour through Quick Labs and Google Cloud, creating virtual machines using GCP console and gcloud command line. She will also guide us through connection of web server in a virtual machine. I don't know if you're excited as I am. I just can't wait for her to start showing us that. Also, we are going to give you, if you check the comment section, we're giving you free lab credits that will enable you to do the cloud study jobs with us. The instructions will be coming up any minute now. Yay! I can see the comment section. I'm not the only one. So we're all excited. This is nice. Christine, you have the entire team waiting for you to share us how to do this. Please take over.
I'm excited too. Thanks a lot, Teresia. First of all, I like interaction. I keep on telling myself that I want to become a teacher when I grow up. I'm still growing. So when I grow up, I'll become a teacher someday. Okay, so I want to, as I do the labs and as we walk through together, I want to know, the people able to access the labs right now?
Yes. We in a minute we'll have the links and the instructions in the comment section, so that everybody is able to access the labs and we can do it all together as you guide us. I've heard you said you wanted to be a teacher. Today you're a teacher. You'll take us through this session. So your first day of teaching starts today. Let me get the instructions in the comment section as you talk to us.
Teresia, you're getting lost at some point. You're breaking and your voice is not audible enough.
Able to hear me now?
Yes, sure.
Check. So if you check the comment section of this meeting, you will see that our GDG lead, Marvin Gessa, is giving us the instructions on how to get the Quick Lab free credits so that you can be all able to do the code labs as you take us through it. Christine?
Yes, sure. Okay, so guys, let's follow the link. We need to do a practical together, and if you're not doing it yourself, you might get behind, and I don't want us to do that. So kindly give me a 1 on the comment section. Just type 1 if you're ready for me to continue. Just type 1. If you're not ready, type 2 so that I can know where we are. If you're ready, type 1. If you're not ready, type 2 so that I can know whether we are ready to continue. Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I can see a lot of ones and some and some double two. Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
I saw a question someone is asking which session to enroll in. We're dealing with GCP Essentials. If you can get that, please enroll in that one as we wait for Christine to share her screen to show us.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes. I can see your screen.
Great. So I'll just dive right into it. So within the presentation, or rather within the walk through the lab, I will ask you guys to tell me whether you're following so that we can work together. Okay. So Teresa, in case I am not audible enough, in case you're not seeing my screen, in case there is something, please notify me because I'm not able to see the chat as I'm presenting.
No, it's okay. Today you're a teacher. You guide us. What you tell us is what we'll do. We'll wait for you.
Great. Okay. So I will want us to do let me go back a little bit.
While Christine is setting up, guys, head over to the comment section. Marvin Gessa is sharing the instructions. You can be able to see how to get to the quick labs, which study jam to enroll in, the study jam code. And in case you have any questions or you're stuck, please talk to us. Leave your comment on the comment section. We'll be able to see it.
Okay. I would like to change my internet a bit. I think I would use a different type of internet so that it can be a little bit faster. And let me just set that up in a minute.
It's okay. You can go on. Is everyone able to get to the Quick Labs to access them? Talk to me. I'm in the comment section. Chat me up. Tell me. Are you all able to access it? Oh, wow. Someone has already. Okay. Chris, thank you. I can see you're able to access it. Talk to me, guys. Are you all able to get to the Quick Labs? As we wait for our teacher and facilitator to get to talk to us today and guide us. I think someone has already completed the quest.
Wow, that's great. But since that person came in with us when we are starting, you will have to bear with us because you're doing the quest on Google Cloud Essentials. And let me just open the whole quest so that I can show you exactly what we will be able to cover within this particular lab. So we will not do everything basically, but we will do something that will start us off so that when you're able to do the other labs within the quest, you have a head start. Okay. Looking for the quest. Give me a second.
Okay. Chris is asking GCP Essentials. Is it the same thing?
Yes, it is the same thing.
GCP stands for Google Cloud Platform. So it's Google Cloud Platform Essentials. And you can see on your screen, our facilitator is ready to guide us. Take over, Christine.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll just, okay. So as you can see on Google Cloud Essentials, which is the whole quest that we should be going through this evening. So you can see that the quest, okay, a quest is basically related learning paths, or rather labs that are related. So at the end of the this particular labs, you will get a badge. You are supposed to get a badge you can use, which you can use on your social media, you can use on your LinkedIn, or wherever you want to show someone that you have been able to learn on Google Cloud Platform and you have an understanding on the platform. So as you can see, there are quite some labs. So we have the first hands-on lab is a tour on Quick Labs and Google Cloud. The second one is a creation of a virtual machine. So I'm rushing through this because we will basically go through them and we will handle them step by step. So you can see there are others on Compute Engine, which we will also use today on creating the virtual machine, but we will not go to those other labs. So these ones, I leave them to you. So you can see we have getting started with Cloud Shell and G-Cloud. We will also interact closely and shortly with Cloud Shell and G-Cloud, but we will not go deep into this lab specifically. Then we will have other labs on Kubernetes Engine. We will mention Kubernetes Engine shortly when we are creating our virtual machines, but we will not do this lab today. And then you can also see the last lab on that quest is setting up network and HTTP load balancers, which basically we will not do this today, but it's part of the quest. So once you're able to access your credits, which Ngesa is already giving you. I believe some of us have been able to access them, and those that haven't been able to access, you will have the access later on. So kindly ensure that you go through the labs that you will not be able to cover today. Okay. So the first lab is basically a tour through Quick Labs. So I don't want us to go blindly into Google Cloud platform. I want us to understand how do we get there, how do we redeem our lab, how do we redeem our Quick Labs, or rather our credits that we've been given, and then how do we go ahead and do our labs on the quest of Google Cloud Essentials. Okay, so before I proceed to starting the lab, I want us to first of all take a look on Quick Labs. Take a very quick look on Quick Labs. And there are around 3 things that I want us to cover on Quick Labs, which we can see. The first one I want us to cover is this button, as you can see, the green button in your left-hand side corner. So, Tracy, are you guys with me?
Yes, we're with you.
Great. Present when you are not able to see the students is sometimes
Yeah.
but now I've actually discovered a way to see the comments. Great. No, this is awesome. This is awesome. Okay. So I can see the comments and
something. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I guess I can hear you.
There is the GCP Essentials, and then there is the link we've shared. So I think you're just going to give them introduce them to the in the tour. Then after that, they're going to go to the GCP Essentials.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the plan or.
Yeah, sure. That's the plan. We first of all will do the Quick Labs tour, and then we are supposed to access the link to the GCP platform, the Google Cloud platform itself.
All right.
Is that what you're trying to imply?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, then we are okay. We are good.
Great. So, now this is the first. Once you click the link to access your Quick Labs, this is the first page that you'll land on. And then when you are on this page, we have this Start Lab button on your left-hand corner. So this button is when you want to start any lab on your Google Cloud platform, you click on the Start Lab, as long as you are starting that lab from Quick Labs. So rather you're using Quick Labs to go through that lab. And that is what we will be doing today. So when you click this Start Lab, it starts this timer automatically. So when this timer is started, it means that everything that you do within Google Cloud Platform, you will do it within this particular period of time that you've been given for that particular lab. So if you complete what you are doing before this time has elapsed, then you can come back here and click End Lab. We will shortly see this when you click Start Lab. I don't want to do that right now because the timer will start automatically when I click Start Lab. So the other thing that I want us to look at in this platform of Quick Labs is the credits. Okay, so this lab, which is the tour to Quick Labs and Google Cloud, is basically free. So as you can see over here, it's free. So even if I click Start Lab, they won't ask me to enter any credits or to use any subscription because it's basically free. So I want to showcase that using this lab. Okay, so this is a lab that we will also do today, but I just want to showcase, what I want to showcase basically is to show how to redeem your credits and how, if you're not using credits, if you're not having a subscription or credits like we have been given by GDG Nairobi today, how you'll be able to purchase them. I won't go to the details, but I'll just show you shortly. So when you click Start Lab, as you can see, you will be given this option. So if you have a lab access code, you will enter it here. But today we are not, I don't know, Marvin, I think we'll be launching with credit. So will you have to launch with an access code?
Yes, I think we have a code. I think a code.
We have the code.
Yeah.
Great. So if you have an access code, you'll basically enter the access code right here and launch with an access code. So for me, I'll be launching with credits and through this platform, but through this lab. But for you to access your lab, you will access with the code that you'll be given. So that's it for that. And the other thing that I want to touch on before I go to the GCP platform is the score. So as you can see, a lab like this one has a score, but this particular lab didn't have a score. So the score is basically to track what you're doing. So for guys who've been able to do to do courses on platforms like Pluralsight and others that track what you're doing, you've realized that you have the score. So this score basically tracks what you're doing. For instance, this particular lab has things that you're supposed to do right here. So like you have, if you finish the overview, the setup, you create an instance of the cloud console, everything. So it's recorded right. The steps, then you have 100% score. That means that you've managed to do everything, and the Google platform is able to track what you're doing. So that's all about Quick Labs, and I would like to move to the next step, which is the Google Cloud platform. But before I do that, I want to know whether we have been able to access or we've been able to access the Google Cloud platform through the links that we've been given. Kindly type 1 if you've been able to access. Kama bado, sorry, if you've not been able to access your cloud platform, or rather, if you've not been able to access your credits through the link, click, or rather type 2 so that I can know whether I'm moving on with you guys.
Talk to us. Chris, were you able to access the lab?
To make this easier, type 1.
Talk to us in the comment section. We want to see if you're able to access the Quick Labs. Go on. Oh, I see around 6:40 they were able to.
Okay. So I just want to know that I'm not talking to myself and we are doing it together, right?
We are here.
Okay, so I can see that several people have been able to access the lab. So I'll just go ahead and access the platform. So I'll click start. I don't think I can start this lab right now. Okay, I can start with that account. Okay, so as I'm also doing this, kindly do the same on your end so that you can be able to move together. Okay, so this lab is basically free. So the only thing that we are considering here is the timer. So I'll go ahead and click Start Lab. So as you can see, something has changed. Before I started the lab, there was nothing right here. And now there are other things that have popped up after I've clicked Start Lab. So our lab has started and it will end within this particular period of time. It will end automatically. We don't have to end it. And now I want us to concentrate on what is right here. So you can see Open Console. So if you click on Open Console, that will open your Google Cloud platform. And that's what I want us to do next. And before I do that, I just want us to take a keen interest in this. So you've been provisioned with a username and a password, which you will use. These are temporary credentials that you don't really have to cram or to remember, because they are provisioned for you every time that you start lab for any particular lab that you're doing. So let me just go ahead and open console. So as you can see, it has given me the window of signing into a Google account, but I don't have to do that. since I already have these credentials, I'll just come back here and copy the username, then come right here and paste it. Then I'll go back here and copy the password. Then I'll come right here and paste the password. Then I'll go ahead and accept the terms and conditions of creating a Google account. This is just the normal particular steps that you go through when you're creating an account. You don't have really to remember to update your recovery phone number and recovery email, because definitely these credentials are temporary and they will be, the work is just for this particular lab. They'll deplete after that. So you just go to the next step. And wait. Ta-da! Now this is the Google Cloud platform, and if it's your first time here, this is how it looks. Okay, so now, okay, since you're logging in for the first time with this particular account, they'll ask you to specify your country. If you're in Kenya, just write Kenya. If you're in whichever country you're in, just write that right there, and then click agree to the terms of service. You don't need email updates for now, so agree and continue. Okay, so this is how the platform looks, and I want us to just take like less than 5 minutes or 10 minutes to understand how to navigate through this platform, even before we go to a lab that we will be doing. Okay, so the first thing I want us to look at is the project information. So the project information, this is basically the project that we've created. So if you look at our tour of quick labs that we were doing here, after we clicked Start Lab, we got some credentials right here, and we got some GCP project ID right here. So this is the current project ID that has been assigned to the project that you're doing. If you look at this quick lab GCP 00, blah, 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 then come back here and check our project ID. It's quick labs GCP 00, blah, blah, blah. So it's exactly the same project ID that has been transferred from our quick labs. When we start the lab, it transfers the project ID. It's unique for this particular project. Then we have the project name, which is directly and assigned by Google Cloud Platform. And then we have a project number. These are the unique things that we'll be identifying this particular project with. Okay, that's that. So the next thing I would like to look at is the navigation menu. You might ask yourself now, we're in this platform, maybe you want to build an application, maybe you want to deploy your application that you've already built remotely, and you don't know where to go because, everything is everywhere, right? So you look at these 3 lines right here. This is the navigation menu. So you click on that if it's not already shown, but ours was already shown, so I didn't have to do that. So this is the navigation menu for this particular, not specifically for this particular project, no. It's for the whole Google Cloud Platform. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing this for the labs or you're doing this for your own work that you're provisioning, or you're doing this for your own company that you're, deploying an application or something like that. This is the navigation menu that you will use. Okay, so within this navigation menu, we have 7 categories of services that I believe Musol has covered them in theory. I just want to show you practically where to find them. Okay, so the first category is the compute category. So all the compute services and resources are found right here. So you can see everything that Musol mentioned, the Kubernetes engine, the compute engine, the app engine, everything that you'll need to use for your computational services is right here. We will come back to this when we will be creating a virtual machine, because we will require the compute engine right here to create the virtual machine using the Google Cloud Platform console, which is what we are looking at, by the way. Okay, so the next category is the storage. So the storage is when you want to store your data, And I believe Musol covered this well also. So if you want to to store your data, despite it being structured, unstructured, relational, or even non-relational data, you have all these types of storage to choose from, depending on the kind of data that you want to store on your application or on your product. Okay, so the other category that is right here is the networking category. So the networking category gives you access to services and resources that you will require for connecting your application. Okay, let's look at this. Like, networking services will basically help you to manage traffic and security services. So if your application requires a lot of people to access your application, if your application requires people from external sources to come in, let's take an example of something like Jumia. So people from all over the world are accessing Jumia to buy products and all things like that. So if you're setting up an application like that, you'll need to use things in the network, to use services in the networking categories. This is like the firewall to restrict what comes in and what goes out of your application, things like external IP addresses and many others that are within the networking category. Okay, so before I go on, I would like to know that you're type 1 so that I can know that you're together. Type 1 if you're listening, type 1 if you're following, type 1 if I should continue. I want at least 5 ones. Good. We're doing great. Okay, I'm impressed, guys. So let me continue. Okay, so the next category is the cloud operations category. A cloud operations category gives you access to all operations, additional operations that you might require. So let's say, for example, as I was giving the example of Jumia, you want to monitor the traffic that's coming to your application. How are the people accessing the platform? At what time is your platform having a high traffic? At what time is it having a low traffic? How can you trace the people, or rather the users of your application and everything like that? So you'll find those services within the cloud operations. Then we have tools. So these are basically services or rather, let me just call them tools that developers will use in the pipelines when they are collaborating or even developing applications. Then we have big data services. So big data services, these are basically, we've already talked about storage services right up there, but now big data is when you require to deploy large data sets. So let's say the work that you want to do is something like you're deploying an IoT device or something like that, and it requires to collect data from several parts of the world and then sending to your application. So that means it's it's a big data set. So you'll find those types of services right here under big data. And then we have AI category. So this category of services, again, will give you APIs and services that are related to artificial intelligence and machine learning, depending on what you would like to provision on your application. So that's it, guys, on the navigation menu and the categories that are therein. So without much ado, let me go to roles and permissions. So I believe this was also covered in theory under identity access and management, which is right here. So roles and permissions are basically what can you do if you have an application which has different members or different users and different groups within it, who can do what. So that's basically what IAM is, or other identity access and management. So I want to especially just show us this particular application that we've created. What can we do with it in this particular project? What can this member, who is, let me go back here and show you. So our username was student00. This is the username that we have logged in with, which means this is the member that we want to look at their role and their permission. What can they do in this particular application? Okay. So we come back here. So once we click Identity Access and Management tab, or rather link, we just come right here and we sift through the members that are shown in this particular project. So we are looking for the student 00, which is the username right here. So you can see we have, this is the role and these are the permissions. So we have the role of, let me repeat that part. I believe that Musol tackled it, but now since we are seeing them, let me just repeat that a little bit. So if you are a viewer, you only have read permissions. So the roles and permissions relate in this way. The role that you're given tells you what permissions you have in that particular project. The only thing you can do is view this project, and you cannot even modify anything in it. So if you are an editor, it means that you have all the viewers' permissions, and you can also modify data within the project. Then if you are the owner of the project, which we are not basically the owner of the project, so if you're the owner of this project, if you created this differently, probably would have been an owner. If you didn't just go through Quick Labs, if you provisioned everything for yourself, you will obviously have the owner role. So if you're the owner, you have all the permissions of the editor and the viewer, and you're able to manage roles. You're able to change people from one group to the other. You're able to create groups. You're able to delete people. You can add them and remove them from this particular project. So you have the ultimate role, which is the owner role. Okay, so that's that on roles and permissions. I want us to look at one more thing. One more thing, which is Cloud Shell. So I want us to look at Cloud Shell because we will basically use this later, but I want us to look at it roughly right now. So Shell is basically of the CMD, the terminal that you use if you're using a Linux-based machine or using a Windows-based machine. So think of that CMD, that console that you use on that machine, you're using on your Linux machine. So that's basically what a Cloud Shell is. But now in this case, it's an in-browser. It's in the browser. We click right here on this particular button if you want to access the Cloud Shell. So by clicking that, we are saying activate shell. Then it depends with the different machines. I don't know what yours has told you, but mine just Did we decide to listen to music for some time?
I am so sorry for that interruption. Please carry on.
It's okay. Okay. So as I was saying, you click right here to activate the Cloud Shell, and then you go. My machine tells me to continue. Yours might tell you something else, but both of them take you to the Cloud Shell. So we wait for the Cloud Shell to launch, and it has launched. So once the Cloud Shell launches, it will give you this message. So once it has launched successfully, that's the message you should get. Welcome to Cloud Shell. Then if you look closely right here, you see this is our username, the username that we logged on with, the student 00 blah, blah, blah. Yes. So that means that we are now able to access the Cloud Shell. So I just want us to do something very small on Cloud Shell before we proceed to our virtual machines lab. Okay, so I want us to create a file, write something in that file, or rather, basically I want us to create a file, edit that file, and then output the contents of that file. So we will use a few simple commands to do that. And the first command that we'll use is the touch command to create touch, and then touch gdg.txt. then enter. So as you can see, we have created the file, but we cannot see anything. So because we need to know, have we really created the file? So we will use the ls command to list the files in our current directory. And you can see that in our current directory, we have the README for Cloud Shell, and then we have the gdg.txt, the file that we just created. So the next step that I would like us to do is to put something in that file. So to put something in this file, we will use an editor. So now this will depend on the editor that you use. I'm sure most of you use, I'm not sure. Okay, so you could be using Emacs, Vim, Nano, depending on what you're used to, but I'll be using Nano. So I'll just say Nano and then the name of the file. So we want to edit the file now, since the file has nothing in it. And that opens the editor, the Nano editor. So let's type something in this editor, right? So something so random. We can say like gdg. That was good music. So we can say gdg Nairobi is the best developer community ever. So we just want to type something to see how we use the Cloud Shell. So after that, we will go ahead and exit Nano. Okay, so we've exited, but we cannot see what we have typed in that file. So we want to see the output, or rather the contents of that file. We'll use another simple command, which is the cat command. So we want to view the content of that file. The file was gdg.txt. And yay! gdg Nairobi is the best developer community ever. There we go. So that's basically it on Cloud Shell. We will come back here later, but this is the basics. Even if we don't get time to do this, now you're able to know how to access it through this particular icon right here and how to use it later. And before I forget, everything that we are doing here, everything that you'll be doing on your Google Cloud platform, you will have all the steps on your Quick Labs. So you don't have to like remember everything I've said. You don't have to cram it. You can have all the steps right here once you have access to your Quick Labs. Great. So guys, are we understanding? Are we moving together? Can you go ahead and do one lab on virtual machines? So if you agree that you should move on, type 1. If you think we need to relax, type 2. If you think we're not ready, that is, type 2. If you're ready, type 1. I want us to continue.
I can see the ones are coming. Great.
Good. This is impressive. I feel like we're doing something. We're moving together. Okay. I think I'll become a good teacher someday. So I want us to do a lab on virtual machines. And I'll since you're still following, let me click here. Since we finished going through our tour, while we still had some time, I'll go ahead and end the lab. So when I click end the lab, it assures me that if I click this, all my work will be gone and I'll not be able to access it again. Am I sure to do that? Of course I am. So I click OK. They ask you how satisfied are you? You can always comment or cancel depending on how you feel about the lab. Okay, but you should always comment, to give feedback. Feedback is very good. It helps people to improve things and to know what is not being done right. Okay, so now I want us to start the next lab, which is the lab on virtual machines. And I'll just go ahead and sign in with my Quick Labs main account. Okay, so I've already enrolled for the quests, and I believe you all should do that when you get your credentials. So the lab that I want us to do is creating a virtual machine. So a virtual machine is basically a machine like the one you're using right now, but it is virtually somewhere on the cloud. Basically, giving you all the resources, all the computer resources that you need, and provisioned somewhere in a particular data center. So I'll go ahead. I won't explain anything here because we did this already. So I'll just go ahead and start this lab. So now, as you can see here, for you, you will go to enter lab access code, and I don't have that right now. So I'll just launch with credits that I have already. Okay, so as I said, every time you click on Start Lab, you're given new credentials, which are basically temporary, but they're what identify you under identity and access management within GCP for that particular period of time, after which they are deleted. So as you
Christine, are you there? Christine? There seem to be some some technical glitches from her end. On the comment section, tell me how far you've reached with the labs. If the first one you did was successful, how much time did you take to finish? Talk to me. I would also like to tell you that the subscription you got has 1 month access. So after this labs, you can also be able after this to go back, redo the labs, check on another one until you perfect. Also, would also love to encourage you to act as much as possible with the console and the platform, the GCP platform. Know how it works. Go around, look at the tabs, what they do. As we wait for Christine, on the comment section, tell me how far you've reached with the session. The first lab that you did you finish it on time? The second one that she was about to begin. Talk to me.
All right, guys. So I'm not really sure where you guys are. If seems like she dropped off. So if anyone has questions, you could as well as just even post it on the comment section to try and answer them. For those who are here, as we wait to see if we can engage Christine. And if not, don't worry about that. As you've seen that with the code that you've been given, if I'm not wrong, Marvin, they have access to the sessions or to the credits for like a month, right?
Correct, Wayne.
Yeah.
And then also joining, I think she didn't know that she left the code lab, but I've talked to her and she'll be joining us soon.
Okay. All right. So someone just asked, how is the job market for cloud engineering? Would you like to take that, Marvin? In Kenya, yeah.
Yeah, so I can take it. So I think the market is growing, and it's big, and it's big because right now almost all the big companies want to go to cloud, and also with this COVID thing, almost everyone wants to have their details on cloud and their apps on cloud and their documents on cloud. And even if I'm much more into the telcos, but if you see also what the telcos are doing, you can see that Safaricom has partnered with a cloud provider. There's also Lego Telecom, which is offering cloud services. Almost all these telcos, they're trying to move towards cloud. And in fact, if you watched this year's Cloud Next event, you realize that there's a way that they're trying to do modernization across all the sectors. So the market, I think, is growing, and we need more people to join in the market.
All right, thank you for that, Marvin. I hope your question has been answered, Nicholas. All right, without wasting much time, I'd like to take it back to Christine so she can finish up with the session. All right, back to you, Christine.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, I didn't even realize I was talking to myself. So I hope I didn't leave you guys behind so much. Okay, so I just opened the GCP platform, and we are supposed to be creating a virtual machine. So I said that there are two ways to do that. We can do that using the console directly, and we can also do that using the cloud shell, which is the command line, or rather the command prompt. So I'll do the first way, which is, as I said earlier, when I was doing the walkthrough, I said you will come back here to the computer engine. So you go to the computer engine and choose VM instances, that's virtual machine instances. Okay. So we click create the virtual machine. And then now, you're given the ability, or rather the chance, to specify everything that you want your machine to have. So the first thing that you specify is the name of your machine. So just think of it like you want to be to provision your application, or you want to do everything that you want to do on the cloud, you'll do it on a particular machine, which is now what you're creating. Then everything else will do it within it. So we give a name to our machine. So let's just say GDG Lab. Okay, so that's the name of our virtual machine. So down there we have region and zone. So I don't believe Musol covered this, so let me just touch a little bit on it. So for us to provision our virtual machine, we have to choose exactly where do we want our machine to be provisioned. In which data center do we want our machine to be? So a region is basically a geographical location. Let's say we may, okay, let me just click right here and show you. So as you can see, we have very many regions. So we have regions that are within America. We have regions that are within Europe. We have regions that are within Asia Pacific. And I don't see any region within Africa. Okay, so we will work with what you're looking at right now. So we have this particular region. So now the zones, before I even choose the region, let me touch on the zones. The zones are within locations within within a region. So a particular region like America could have, like within America, we have several regions, as you can see. So if we choose a particular like US West region, which is the region within United States coastal west, so they have several zones in which you can provision your virtual machine. So now this depends on what you want to do on your machine. So depends on your cost, on the cost that you want to use on that particular machine, depends on failures that you want to take care of, depends on your traffic, from which area does your traffic come from. So let's say you're provisioning an application right now within here in Kenya, and the zone that is nearer you is, you have to consider where you're coming from and which zone will cost you less, or rather, not really cost, but it depends with your particular requirements. So let me just put it out there like that. Depends with the requirements that you want. So the data centers are within zones. So we will just go ahead and choose US and choose that zone, US West 1B. And then go ahead to, okay, you see you have machine configuration. So you are also given a chance to choose what kind of machine you want to provision. So be it a Linux machine, be it a Windows RAN machine, be it a Mac RAN machine, like whatever machine you want to provision. Then we also have, you are also given a chance to choose the CPU, choose the memory, choose the disk, whatever you want to provision for your machine. So we'll just go ahead and choose that. Then I'll leave everything else default. And then identity, okay, this is what I was talking about when I said that we will look at containers briefly, but we won't really go into containers. So if you want to deploy a container within this particular project, you just come here and allow that. You can still do that later, but right now we're not deploying in containers, so we'll just leave that as default. Then we'll go ahead and allow default access for access cops, so we don't have to change anything right now. Then look at firewall. So later on, we want our machine to connect to our web server. So for us to be able to do that, we have to allow traffic. So we'll just click allow HTTP traffic and go ahead and create our machine. Okay, so as we wait for that to run, we are waiting for our machine to collect everything that it requires. Okay, great. Now it's already created and it's running, but you can't know that right now until we run our external IP address to see whether it's running. But we can't do that until we connect our application, rather our virtual machine, to our web server. So we'll go to this SSH client right here and open a browser window. Okay. So once we are here, we want now to, the web server that we want to connect to, we will connect to one of the most common web servers, which is Nginx. So the first thing that we would like to do is probably have root access due to avoid restrictions on user permissions. So we'll do a simple command to have root access. So now we have the root access and we're able to do anything on this particular client. So then the next thing we want to do is ensure that our OS is up to date. So do updates. This is just simple commands. Ensure that everything is good and running. Good. Okay. So after that, now we want to install our Nginx web server. So just go ahead and write a simple command to do that. and wait for it. It's great. It's done. Already installed our Nginx web server, but we don't know whether it's running. So we'll do another simple command. Don't worry about these commands. They're all provided for you within the Quick Labs. So for each particular lab, you have all the steps. You can go through them once, again and again, to be able to grasp this. So it's just a simple command to check whether our web server is running. Okay, so basically this command just sifts through and checks anything that has the word Nginx, and you can see it's our web server is running. So let's exit the root and also exit the SSH client. Then we are back to our Google Cloud platform. So basically we have already provisioned a virtual machine and connected it to our web server, but we don't know whether that is working yet until we run an external IP address. So this external IP address basically gives our virtual machine an accessibility from anywhere on the world globally. So you can run this on your machine, and I'm going to go ahead and copy it and run it on my machine too. Okay. Great. So that's exactly what we expect. We expect it to give us the landing page of welcome to Nginx and the things that you're seeing right here. So that means that we've done that successfully and our virtual machine is running. So I don't know whether I still have the time, Teresia, so that I can go through operation of a virtual machine on cloud on the Cloud Shell, because basically that's the only thing I'm remaining with. Every other lab that guys you've seen on the Quest, you will be able to complete that on your own. I just wanted us to walk you through the platform and how to navigate through it and give you a hands-on experience. And then from there you can go on and complete everything on your own.
Yes, Christine, please proceed. We're enjoying the session. Don't mind us. Go on. We're following.
Thank you. Great. Okay. So I want us to create another virtual machine, but now in at this particular point, I want us to use our Cloud Shell. So I'll go ahead and activate Cloud Shell. And as before, we will continue. So for you to use the Cloud Shell to create a virtual machine, you need to know exactly what you want. You need to understand the zone into which you want to provision your machine instance. You need to know the machine type. You need to know everything before starting that. So it's just a simple command, which I just picked directly from here, and I'll just come right here and paste it. But I want to use a different name, so I want us to have the same name so that you can see we can monitor our machines, both of them. Okay, so actually I did not mention about G-Cloud. So G-Cloud is basically a toolkit of Cloud Shell, which has all these commands inbuilt within the console. So it's what you'll be using through Cloud Shell to create a lot of stuff. So we'll just go ahead and do that. So we are provisioning this particular machine within this particular zone, which is US Central C. So we are assuming that it will be provisioned within the same region. So So we don't have to specify that. Okay, and my machine is becoming slow, so we're gonna wait.
As we wait for Christine as she wraps up, please ask your questions on the comment section, post your comments. Yeah, and in a few we will have the feedback form for you to fill. Christine, are you okay now?
Okay, I think I'll have to exit this and restart it again. It's still slow. I don't.
So it's okay. Guys, are we all here? Are we following? Anyone stuck? If you go to the comment section, you can be able to this platform. As we wait for Christine to wrap up, I would love to encourage all of us to go join the GDG chapter, GDG Nairobi chapter. All our events are there. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see all our events, including the upcoming Code Labs of this week. Also, we also have DevFest 2020 coming. The link is in the comment section. Sign up, RSVP, get to interact. You can also be featured as an attendee. Christine? Hi, Christine.
Yes, I can hear you pretty well, Tricia.
Are you now able to wrap up for us?
The only thing that remains is just a second or two.
Oh, okay.
It was, of course, anticipated. These things happen.
There's a question for you in the comment section.
Okay. Probably I can look at that first.
Nicholas is asking, how do we run Kubernetes container in GCP? I'm focusing on ML. I assume machine learning. Timothy is asking the difference between the Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay, just to cut this short, so for those who are asking questions with regards to Kubernetes and machine learning, we actually have sessions that are coming up, so we don't want to spoil the surprise and all that. So we'd want you to register for the sessions that will be coming in. So be sure to just check the new GDG platform where we have all the sessions lined up. Sign up for them, and then you can definitely have those questions asked with regards to the topic that I'll be covering. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to spoil it, the surprise.
Yeah, I think that's true, Wayne. If we answer this right now, someone will feel satisfied. So you guys should come back for the other session. Okay, so I think I've completed what I was doing, Teresia. What I was doing basically was just to create a virtual machine using the Google Cloud Shell, Google Cloud Platform, the Cloud Shell, that is. And as you can see, I've already created the machine with that one command, one line of commands. And then, as you can see, the name of this lab is GC Lab 2. It's provisioned within and everything is just like the previous machine that we created using the console, and the machine is running. So when you come back, okay, let me exit this. When you come back to our GCP platform, you can see both machines right here. It's still loading, but at least you can see we have been able to create both of them. So I think that's it from my side for today. And you guys will be able to do this on your own, and everything will be as easy as this has been, because you'll have you'll have the quick labs guiding every step of it. So I'll go ahead and end this lab. Okay.
Thank you very much, Christine. That was a really nice session. I enjoyed it. I learned so many things. Guys, the credits that you have give you access to the Quick Labs for a whole month. Please take advantage of that. Go over again, start another lab, do what the show does, look at the others. We have a series of sessions that are coming up this week. On Wednesday we have one, on Thursday we have one, on Friday we have one. Please join our new community, our new platform. The link is in the comment section. We are basically in all social media platforms. Go search for GDG Nairobi. You'll see our page, you'll see our handles. Follow us, talk to us. Tell us, what do you love about GDG Nairobi? We also have DevFest that's coming up in October. The link is also in the comment section. Sign up, log in, get your spot, RSVP, become an attendee. You can also volunteer to give us a talk or be an organizer and also get featured. I would, at this point, thank you for being with us, for doing the labs, for being such a lovely audience. I would love to hand over to Marvin or Wayne as we wrap up today's session. Marvin? Wayne, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who took their time to attend the session. And a very big thank you to our facilitators for today, Soli and Christine. I personally have worked with Christine when she was a DSC lead. We were both DSC leads in the same year, and I can definitely attest to her enthusiasm for cloud, because during that time we also did like cloud study jams, and I really saw what she was able to do with her community back in Egerton. And it's amazing finally seeing her again doing what she loves to do best. And we will definitely be honored to have her come on board once again. And for Mutsoli, I'd like to say a big thank you, because he actually took the courage to apply as a facilitator for the first time, because he's currently learning the Google Cloud platform on the GADS track, GADS Cloud track. And it takes a lot of courage as a learner at the same time as a first speaker to actually take the opportunity to train about 30 plus people in a single session. And I'd really like to thank him for that and for taking that opportunity. Yeah. If there's no any further questions with regards to what we have right now, if you have questions, please make sure they're within whatever we've learned today. If you have any questions with regards to Kubernetes, machine learning, data science, and all that, we have sessions lined up that are going to covering on this session. So be sure to sign up, because again, we'll be sharing information such as meeting links and all that, or meeting details, quick lab links and all that for with those who have RSVP'd. So be sure to sign up for these events. If there's no question, I'll just give like 5 minutes. If there's any question, please post it on the chat, or if you want, you can just unmute yourself and ask a question. Yeah, I've seen that Nicholas is also looking for internship. Thank you, Nicholas. We've noted that. If anyone has opportunities with regards to data science or machine learning, Nicholas over here is looking for an opportunity. Also, Nicholas, be sure to sign up for the event that's going to be happening soon. I'm not really sure of the date, but it's going to be happening either this week or next week. That's going to cover that. So that will also be another platform where you can get to even talk about what your interest is and all that. Because as you know, that as with tech community meetups, it's a place where we get to meet and share, and at the same time share opportunities such as internship or even full-time opportunities. Yeah, so Yeah, please, Docker again, still the same sessions with Kubernetes. Is there any other question? Any other question with regards to what we've learned today? And please remember that you have access to these quick labs for 1 month, so please put them into good use. Make sure you understand the basics. If you have questions, be sure to reach out to us. Be sure to reach out to Christine or Mutsuli or anyone who you know is really good with cloud. I will be glad to help. Okay, so back to you, Terry.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you to our facilitators for today. See you next Wednesday. No, this coming Wednesday on another Cloud Study Jam. You will be able to find the link to that event on our new platform, DGD Nairobi. Sign up and see you again on Wednesday. Bye.
I'm tired.